terrified. At first, she'd thought she was afraid of failure and its consequences, of black bags over her head, of needles slipped beneath her fingernails, of car batteries and clamps, of confinement in a narrow, sleepless cell, drugged perhaps, until silence ate her mind. They knew she was proud. She'd been proud for so long in public, so they would try to break her and bring her low, make her wallow. Snap her into so many pieces that if by some chance she were ever freed, she'd spend all of her days picking up the splinters of herself, a shivering wreck, no threat at all. But as she lay awake, sleepless, curled around the sinkhole in her gut, she'd peeled back each layer of fear and found beneath those dark fantasies the reason she'd clutched them close as blankets on a cold night. As scared as she was of failure, behind it lurked the vast and daunting prospect of success. She might win. She might change everything, and it started here as her guests mounted the stairs. Her lungs refused to fill. She couldn't remember the last time she'd breathed deep or savored a glass of water. Her hands roamed. Her nails in the last 3 days had bitten her skin raw beneath her shirt. Her jaw was tight, as if sealed with wire. She carried those sleepless nights with her as darkness in the corners of her vision, as mocking light in the eyes of fake friends. But Christ, she could hide it. So when her guests hugged her and thanked her with a last chance to see sort of vibe and added their presents to the pile on the table, she laughed and hugged them back and thanked them and even remembered their names mostly. Though Lucy had to remind her of old Karpov's daughters, as the young woman drifted cloud-like and glorious up the steps, and Viv, in spite of everything, forgot how to make consonant sounds. Natalia. Lucy offered the name without rolling her eyes. Yes, so wonderful to see you again. Rubberneckers all. Viv hadn't invited any real friends she thought would come. The net was closing in, and she didn't want it catching anyone she cared about. She'd withdrawn from her parents and brother at the first hint of trouble. She'd not been with anyone seriously since Shanda broke it off. She'd let correspondence lapse and made herself conspicuously absent from reunions, unavailable when friends came to town, missed the annual gaming retreat for 2 years running. But she'd hit the Forbes list at 26. Gone bankrupt at 27, then hit the list again, higher at 29, and she knew how to have fun in public when she was alone. Most of the older guests didn't last the first night. On the second, Viv made a show of dissipation and excess, scotch and paintball all through the estate, diving, flirting, games. She got tossed into the pool. Lucy drifted behind her, brought her papers to sign when she had to sign them, ran interference with the catering and household staff, and generally contributed to the sense Viv was reveling, to forget the noose around her neck. She toasted dawn with the few guests who were still awake. By the third night, will and stamina began to flag, though most of those left were too young, too dumb to admit it. People were passing out on couches, on the pool deck. Even Viv let her self-control lapse a little. When Natalia took her hand and led her upstairs, she followed. This she'd needed with a depth that would have held her back from asking. It was not love, but Natalia Karpov had lost 2 brothers and an uncle's family when they'd said the wrong things in the wrong place at the right time, and perhaps she, more than anyone else here, understood the shape of Viv's sleepless nights and fear. Viv shook as Natalia undressed her, though the salt breeze through the open windows was not cold. She bit her lip, her breath short, frozen, strangled by her own muscles, until at a touch sliding downward from her belly, she cracked and crashed against her and caught her in a grip so tight she gasped. Viv wept in bed after, which she hadn't done in 20 years. And then, the true gift, she slept. The house was still when she woke before dawn by Natalia's side. Time to go. She hadn't run from anything since 4th grade.